Welcome to Mystery History. I'm going to show you how I think the Freemasons deceived us when they created the imaginary globe model that they tried to prove. This is like 500 years ago. These guys like Newton and Copernicus, Galileo, they tried all these experiments and proofs and stuff, and they all failed. They didn't prove a globe at all, but yet they continually pushed this globe worldview, and most deceptions involve pride. So somehow human beings latched onto this globe thing thinking, hey, we're now superior, we're so intelligent, we can understand all these really complex theories that we don't really understand, but those scientists understand it, these really smart guys in some room somewhere with a lot of books, and these guys understand what's going on. So they push this globe view in primary schools especially. I remember being young, and the basic premise was that people who used to believe in the flat earth were really stupid. They believed they were going to fall off the edge. And now that we are better, we're more evolved, we're more advanced, and we know the truth. We're smarter than those people. And if you ever believed in a flat earth, you would just be really stupid. So that's what happens today when you tell people, oh yeah, the world is actually flat. They immediately go back to that indoctrination, that imprinting we received in the indoctrination centers, otherwise known as elementary school. And the teachers didn't know either. They're just doing their job. They're just teaching what's in the textbook and all this stuff. And all this is controlled at the top, by the Illuminati / Freemason / government that controls this world in our minds, essentially. So we've all been brainwashed since birth to believe in something that we didn't really understand, that we didn't really question. The big part of it is the psychology of deception, which involves pride, it involves gullibility, it involves indoctrination, and even imprinting the young people. So this is the classic example. I mean, that could be a whole different topic, but today I want to look at some numbers I've been working on. So where should we start? So I got this Excel sheet. And what I've done, I'll go to the top here. So I got the degrees. And what I'm doing is trying to come up with a system that makes sense. Because anytime you base a flat earth model off of a globe, you're kind of basing it off of something that just doesn't even exist or make sense. And I'll kind of show you how I think they created the globe from the flat earth. I do believe the Freemasons know, in fact, I know this for a fact, they know the earth is flat. And they're deceiving us. Why do you think their sign, their symbol, is a compass and ruler? A compass is used for circular geometry. They know what's going on, and they know how important these circles are, circumference, arc, all these kind of things. We're going to get into this a little bit. So even this Gleason map has a few mistakes, actually, and I do like the fact he divides this into 24 sections of longitude, which are, there's 360 degrees in a circle. Divide that by 24 hours in a day. It's every 15 degrees is 1 hour. It takes the sun 1 hour to go across these, and I have calculated exactly how fast the speed of the sun does move. We can do that with basic, as long as you know the radius. Really, that's all you need. And that's what I've been trying to figure out. So I think I found out what the radius, diameter, and circumference of the world are, and at each, the equator, Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn, and so on and so forth. So we can get a lot of basic information from but we have to know where to start and what numbers to use. The Freemasons have been trying to deceive us with these numbers the whole time. So that's what I'm working on, trying to wake up from the deception, especially these numerical and mathematical deceptions that they've inflicted upon the unsuspecting public, including myself. So the first mistake with the Gleason map is Australia obviously is much too large, about twice as large as it should be. Australia in actuality is about slightly smaller than the United States, but here it looks like it's twice as large. So that's some problems we have with this map in trying to figure out how far these continents in the southern hemisphere are from each other, because that's where we're going to find the biggest difference in the globe and the flat earth maps are that the southern hemisphere just doesn't really make sense on the globe at all. And unfortunately, he used the globe model to make this one. So there's some other flat Earth maps out there where these continents appear to be the correct size, at least. They just shouldn't be this large. They're about twice as wide as they should be here in the southern hemisphere, which is unfortunate. But other than that, this is still a very useful map. Now let's look at my Excel sheet. I have this theory that the Freemasons have confused us with miles. So the nautical miles make perfect sense. They're really it's a perfect unit of measurement to use in a circle, in a circular world like this, a flat Earth that's set out arranged in a circle. So 1 degree of latitude is 60 nautical miles. And 1 nautical mile is 1/60th of a degree. So there's 60 nautical miles in 1 degree of latitude, and I've just gone down, listed the degrees of latitude, and just keep adding 60 miles, and then you can figure out. So here the Arctic Circle, which is at it's around 23.3 degrees. So that would give us around 1,400 miles. This is nautical miles, but I believe nautical miles may be the same as regular miles. They tell us 1 nautical mile equals 1.15 standard mile or English mile, the miles we use, in the United States and some other countries. But they may in fact be the same, because why would they be different? This is diameter. It's just twice as much as the radius. And then diameter times pi, we get our circumference. So at the Arctic Circle, it's around 8,800 miles, nautical miles, but it could be the same as miles. And then column F here is 15 degrees. It's basically one of these 24 sections. So at the Arctic Circle right here, that's about 367 miles, each one of these. And this is going to obviously get much longer as we go out in the circle. So, and this is 1 degree of longitude is about 24. Just 1 degree of longitude is about 24 miles at that particular latitude. And these circles get bigger. And the sun, we'll even look at how the sun, the path of the sun, the circumference gets larger and smaller, and the speed of the sun slows down and speeds up and things like that. So here's the Tropic of Cancer, which is this guy right here. And then the equator. And see, now I'm using the equators at 90 degrees. This makes more sense to me. On the globe, they put the equator at 0, but I'm starting 0 at the North Pole. Okay, and then Capricorn, Tropic of Capricorn down here, this line, that's at 113.5 degrees. And then we can get the radius, diameter, circumference. And basically, so right here, it's 1783. So one of these lines here between this one and this is still 15 degrees. So you can see Australia is not, 4,000 miles across. It only takes 4 hours to fly across it. Plane goes around 500 miles an hour. So, you can do the math there, and that's 1 degree. And I've also put the dates here. So this is the speed of the sun, basically, which I guess I haven't filled out all the dates yet. I'm still working on that one. But basically, Tropic of Cancer, the sun is here. These are the longest days of the year in terms of daylight. So the Tropic of Cancer, June 21st. See, the speed of the sun is around 1,045 miles per hour. And that's basically what they tell us the Earth is spinning at. Okay, and so we got this. The radius is almost 4,000 miles. I got 3,990. Diameter almost 8,000 miles, and the circumference around 25,000 miles. They tell us the radius of the Earth at the equator is 4,000 miles, when in fact it's the Tropic of Cancer. They tell us the circumference of the equator is 25,000 miles, when in fact it is the circumference of the Tropic of Cancer. And someone might say, yeah, but you're using nautical miles and not regular miles. But I think that's the deception. I think regular miles don't even really exist. I think they've given us these things in miles, but in fact, they're actually nautical miles. And the speed of the sun makes perfect sense. All these numbers line up perfectly. And then you can see how the sun, so that's June 21st, the sun traveling around very slowly in a tight circle, but it still takes 24 hours. Then it speeds up as you go out outside the circle over the next 90 days. It travels to the equator, and then 90 more days to the Tropic of Capricorn. So at the equator, the sun is spinning around 1,414 miles per hour. And at the Tropic of Capricorn, it's about 1783 miles per hour. That's December 21st. And then it goes back. So January, February, March, and then this would be the same number here for March 21st. Then you got March, April, May, June. Then you're back here at June. So it just reverses the same number. It would be the same exact numbers, but just in reverse order. And originally, I used 4,000 miles at the equator, and that's so that now basically I've shifted 4,000 miles to the Tropic of Cancer, but I started at the North Pole, going 60 nautical miles for every degree, which is what it is. Okay, so this is the math, and then we got the lonely old Antarctic circle down here at roughly, I put it here at 156.3 degrees, which apparently is where it's at. So it's like, 23.7 or something, whatever degrees from the bottom from 180. And so we can see the circumference around there it's around 60,000 miles, the Antarctic circle. And then the actual edge. So we can see we got about 1,000 or 1,200 miles. If you're going to walk from the shoreline of Antarctica to the edge of the Earth, it would be about 1,200 miles. If that's, there's some assumptions here, right? If it goes out to 180 degrees. So this is all just basic math. There's about 15 to 20 degrees of ice here. But around here, if you're going to sail around here, it would be about 60,000 miles, and that is historically verified by numerous adventurers the explorers basically. Captain Cook, these kind of guys, these explorers, they tried to circumnavigate Antarctica, and it took them a long time, and they ended up going about 60,000 miles. So that's what we have here, according to this math. So don't get too hung up on this nautical miles versus English miles. I think they're the same, and and I'll show you a proof of this, or at least a piece of evidence. There's two cities that are really easy to test, and they're both over land, Washington, D.C. and San Francisco. They're at 52 degrees latitude, although on the globe it would say 38. It would say 38 degrees north of the equator, but for my purposes, I just use 52. It's the same thing. And you get 3120 for the radius, circumference here. So each 15-degree section is 817 miles. And actually, the degrees, it is a 45-degree angle from between each city. So we just multiply this 15-degree unit times 3, and we get 2,450. And let's show you on Google Earth, just so you believe me. Here's our globe model, San Francisco to Washington, D.C. Okay. Right about there. Yeah, see? 2,451. San Francisco's here, Washington's there. You can see at the very bottom, 38 degrees. It's, roughly, it might be a few miles off or so, but they're both at about 38 degrees north latitude, 52 degrees from the North Pole. And it is, this one here is 122 degrees longitude, and this one here is about 77 degrees longitude. And 122 minus 77 is 45. So that's a 45-degree angle. And in this Google Earth here, right here, it says it's 2,451 miles, which is exactly what this is, times 3. Now, why isn't that? That should say 2,451. I think it's rounding. There's some fractions in there, some decimals that I'm not showing. So it's the same answer. But this, now, is this using nautical miles? No, this is using English miles. I'm using nautical miles for this entire thing. This is basically the flat Earth mapped out on an Excel sheet. All the distances, circumference, radius, diameter, everything. And I'm getting the same exact number. So nautical miles equals standard miles right here. We just proved it right here. Now, over large bodies of water, I think they, they fudge the numbers quite a bit. So this globe, who knows? I mean, I think this is probably true because it's over a continent like that. But when you start to measure distances between over the ocean and stuff, they can easily fudge those numbers. Now, I'll show you another interesting thing. So they tell us it's 5,400 nautical miles from the equator to the North Pole. Okay, over this curve here, or one of these lines. Okay, so now when you look at the Earth from the top down, what do you think? What edge do you think you would see? What do you think? There's a little yellow line here. I don't know if you can see it. What line do you think that is? Should that be the equator? Actually, that's the Tropic of Cancer. And that's just an observation I saw, which I thought was kind of interesting. So what I think, because according to these calculations, so yeah, I use 5,400 nautical miles from the equator to the North Pole. But if you do that, the circumference you get is about 34,000 miles. Now, the Freemasons tell us it's only 25,000 miles. 25,000 shows up here at the Tropic of Cancer. At this line, same line you see around the edge if you look at the globe from a top down. So maybe what they did, let's look at the flat Earth. They just took this circle here and they folded the rest of the world underneath it. Right here at the 23.5 degrees north of the equator. They said, okay, that's going to be the northern hemisphere, and then everything else they tucked in underneath it. So I think that's what they did. So they tell us it's a 4,000 mile radius, but that's actually what it is at the Tropic of Cancer. So all these numbers they give us for the equator are actually the Tropic of Cancer numbers, and it all works out mathematically. And you can see that even going from DC to San Francisco, it works out perfectly on my sheet. So you can see here they basically fold the southern hemisphere. They folded that underneath. And all these longitude lines just don't even make sense on the globe. Now there's certain flights that you can do and certain flights you cannot do. I'll look at that another time. And all you got to do is figure out the exact distance and see if, average, the longest flights seem to be around 14 hours. They're pretty rare, but I think they do exist. If a plane flies at 500 miles an hour average times 14 miles, it's about a 7,000 miles distance. So anything over 7,000 miles away from each other is pretty doubtful that you can make those flights. And you can look on the flightradar.com or something. You can see all the millions of flights in the northern hemisphere all the time, and there's really barely any at all going between continents in the southern hemisphere. Now they'll tell you, well, we just don't have enough GPS trackers. That may be true because there's just so much ocean down here. But these longitude lines, another thing they tell us too is that you can't measure longitude. You can only measure it in time, which makes sense on a flat Earth. But if Earth was really this spinning ball, why couldn't you measure, start at some line, the meridian or whatever you want to call it. Here's the prime meridian. Just start there and measure. They say you can't even really measure this in miles or something. Well, why not? It's the same shape this way as it is this way, right? That's because on a flat Earth, you would have to measure it using the arc, which you can do, and the circumference, which is what this map essentially does. We can figure out this curved line. That's what these numbers show here. And you notice they don't even give us a straight line, even from San Francisco to DC. It's a curved line. It's an arc. So they're basically giving us this curved line arc around a circumference. So it's not the arc of a globe like they're giving us, well, it's an arc because of the curvature of the Earth. Well, no, it's actually an arc because of the curvature of the circle on a flat Earth, right? So a straight line would be slightly shorter the real distance, if you drove in a straight line, your odometer, if there's a straight road, it would be shorter than the numbers they actually give us. So I'm still working on the new calendar where I'll put every single day of the year, and then you can actually look at the speed of the sun. So today is around, it's basically August 9th. The speed of the sun is 1,241 miles per hour, because that's how long one 15-degree section is on this map above us. So I think there's a lot of things we can use this Excel sheet for to expand upon. It's not that hard to make. You just put the degrees going down, increase by 1 every time. Radius increases by 60 miles for each degree. Diameter is twice that much, and the circumference is simply diameter times pi. And then you divide the circumference by 24 to get the length of this 15-degree section, because 360 divided by 24 is 15. And so that's, and then this is just 1 degree of longitude is that many miles. So that's why I believe the Freemasons use the compass as their logo, or their symbol. Everywhere you go, there's a compass and a ruler. So, you know, obviously the compass is used to for geometry on a circle. And this world is essentially a flat circle, mainly because the sun spins around in a circle, melts the ice. You know, if the sun didn't go all the way down to the Tropic of Capricorn, say it stopped at the equator or something, you'd have a lot more ice in here because it just wouldn't be getting sunlight. There's a good chance that Antarctica is the largest landmass in the Earth. So I'm guessing it goes in about 1,200 miles. All right, so I'll be back with some more updates. Thanks for tuning in.